All right, Cowboys fans, stop what you are doing because what just happened in Dallas is going to have you losing your mind. And before we dive into this absolute bombshell, make sure you hit that subscribe button because this channel brings you Cowboys news faster than anyone else. And trust me, you do not want to be the last one to hear about moves like this. The Dallas Cowboys just made the kind of trade that has the entire league talking. And when I say talking, I mean every single team, every single front office and every fan base is looking at Dallas right now, wondering what just happened because the Cowboys went out and acquired Asante Samuel Jr. And this is not some depth move. This is not some rotational piece. This is a franchise-altering acquisition that completely changes what this defense can do moving forward. Now, here is the thing that makes this even more interesting. Nobody saw this coming. And I mean nobody, because one day we are sitting here wondering if Dallas is going to address the secondary, and the next day, boom, Jerry Jones and the front office pull off a deal that has everyone scrambling to figure out how the Cowboys got this done. Asante Samuel Jr. is one of the most talented young corners in football right now, and the fact that he is wearing a star on his helmet changes everything about how opposing offenses have to approach this defense. Let me break down exactly who this guy is, because some of you might know the name from his father, who was an absolute ball hawk during his playing days with New England and Philadelphia, and I am here to tell you that the son inherited every single bit of that coverage ability and competitive edge. This is a player who came out of Florida State as one of the most polished corners in his draft class, and since entering the league, he has done nothing but prove that he belongs among the elite at his position. But here is what nobody is talking about, and this is the part that should have every Cowboys fan absolutely fired up about this move. Asante Samuel Jr. is not just a good corner. He is a versatile weapon who can play outside. He can play in the slot. He can match up against number one receivers, or he can take away the quick game in the middle of the field. And that kind of flexibility is exactly what Mike Zimmer needs to unleash the full potential of this defensive scheme. Think about what this means for a second, because when you have a corner who can legitimately lock down his side of the field, it changes everything else around him. The pass rush gets home faster because quarterbacks cannot find open receivers. The safeties can play more aggressively because they know they have coverage support underneath. The linebackers can focus on stopping the run and jumping routes because they are not getting exposed in man coverage situations. It is a complete transformation of how a defense operates, and that is precisely what adding a player of this caliber does for the Cowboys. And the crazy part is this move addresses the one area where Dallas has been vulnerable for years now, because let us be real with each other, we have watched this team get torched by elite passing attacks in big moments, and we have all been screaming at our screens wondering why the front office was not doing more to fix the secondary. Well, they just fixed it in the most emphatic way possible by going out and getting a legitimate shutdown corner who can change games with his coverage ability alone. Now, I know some of you are wondering what the Cowboys gave up to make this happen, and look, anytime a deal of this magnitude goes down, there is going to be a cost involved. But from everything we are hearing from league insiders and various reports, this is the kind of trade where Dallas gets tremendous value without mortgaging their future. This is not a rental situation where you are bringing in a guy for one playoff push and then watching him walk out the door. Asante Samuel Jr. is young, he is still developing, and he has years of elite football ahead of him, which means the Cowboys are not just winning today, they are building for tomorrow. And that is exactly the kind of roster construction that leads to sustained success in this league. Let me talk about the locker room for a minute, because this is an underrated aspect of any major acquisition, and it matters more than most people realize. When players see the front office go out and make a splash move like this, it sends a message to everyone in that building that the organization is serious about competing at the highest level. Guys feed off that energy, and it raises the standard of competition across the entire roster, because nobody wants to be the weak link when management is clearly going all in on putting together a championship caliber team. And speaking of championships, can we talk about what this does to the NFC East? Because the Eagles have been strutting around like they own this division, and the Commanders are making noise, and the Giants are trying to figure things out, but the Cowboys just dropped a bomb on the entire conference with this acquisition. This is Dallas saying, we are not sitting back and watching Philadelphia run away with this thing. We are coming for the crown, and we just added one of the best young corners in football to make sure we can compete with anybody. Would you feel confident going into a division game knowing you have Asante Samuel Jr. locking down one side of the field against Jalen Hurts and that Eagles receiving core? Because I would, and that confidence extends to every single matchup on the schedule this season, whether the Cowboys are facing a quick passing attack that wants to nickel and dime them down the field, or a vertical offense that wants to take shots deep. Having an elite corner completely changes how opposing coordinators have to game plan against this defense. They cannot just scheme up easy completions anymore, because Samuel is going to be sitting in those passing lanes waiting to make plays on the ball. And here is another thing that should excite Cowboys fans about this particular player. He comes from football royalty, and that means he has been around the game his entire life, learning from one of the best to ever do it at the position. The instincts, the technique, the competitive fire, all of that was ingrained in him from a young age, and you can see it in how he plays, because this is not a guy who is still figuring things out at the NFL level. He came into the league ready to compete, and he has only gotten better with each passing season. Now, some people are going to say that one player cannot change an entire team. And look, I understand that argument, because football is the ultimate team sport, and you need contributions from all 53 guys on the roster to win consistently. But there are certain players who elevate everyone around them, and Asante Samuel Jr. is absolutely one of those players. When you watch him on film, you see a corner who brings energy and confidence to the entire secondary, and that kind of presence is contagious in the best possible way. So the Cowboys already have some solid pieces on defense, and adding a player of this caliber could be the catalyst that turns a good unit into an elite one. Is this the move that finally puts Dallas over the top and gets them back to the Super Bowl? That is the question everyone is asking right now, and honestly, I think there is a real argument to be made that this trade addresses the single biggest weakness on the roster heading into the season. The offense has weapons, the defensive line can get after the quarterback, the linebackers are solid, but the secondary has been the Achilles heel, and now suddenly you have a cornerback room that can match up with anybody in the league. The timing of this move is also fascinating, because it shows that the Cowboys are being proactive instead of reactive, and that is a significant shift in how this organization has operated at times in the past. Instead of waiting to see how things shake out and then scrambling to make moves when problems arise, they went out and identified a need and addressed it with a premium acquisition. That is how championship caliber organizations operate, and it is encouraging to see Dallas adopting that mentality heading into what could be a crucial season for this franchise. Let me also point out that the analytics absolutely love this move, because when you look at the advanced metrics for Asante Samuel Jr., you see a corner who consistently grades out among the best in coverage, who limits separation against his assigned receivers, and who has a knack for making plays on the football when it comes his way. This is not a situation where the Cowboys are gambling on potential or hoping a player figures things out at the next level. They are getting a proven commodity who has already shown he can perform at an elite level against NFL competition, and that kind of certainty is incredibly valuable when you are trying to build a contending roster. Now, I want to address something that I have seen floating around from some of the skeptics out there who are questioning whether this move was necessary or if the Cowboys overpaid. First of all, finding premium cornerback talent in this league is incredibly difficult, and when you have an opportunity to acquire a player of this caliber, you have to be aggressive, because those chances do not come around often. Second of all, the value of elite corner play in today's pass-happy NFL cannot be overstated, because every single week you are facing quarterbacks who can carve up a defense if you do not have guys who can win one-on-one matchups on the outside. The Cowboys clearly understand this reality, and they made a move that reflects the modern NFL landscape, where having corners who can hold up in coverage is absolutely essential to winning in January. And the way this defense is constructed now with Samuel in the fold, you are looking at a unit that can genuinely compete with anybody in the conference. Think about the playoff implications here, because this is a team that has been right on the cusp for several years now, and what has held them back has often been an inability to slow down elite passing attacks in crucial moments. That should not be a problem anymore with Asante Samuel Jr. patrolling the secondary, because this is a player who can match up against number one receivers and give the Cowboys a fighting chance in those high stakes moments where games are decided. The front office saw the gap between where this team is and where it needs to be, and they closed that gap with one aggressive move, and I have to give credit to Jerry Jones and the entire personnel department for pulling this off. As we look ahead to the season, the expectations in Dallas just skyrocketed, because there is no excuse now for this defense to be anything less than elite. You have talent at every level, and you have a secondary that can legitimately shut down opposing passing games, and that combination should terrify every single team on the schedule. The NFC is wide open, and the Cowboys just made a statement that they are coming for everything with this acquisition. All right, Cowboys Nation, I need to hear from you in the comments, because this is one of the biggest moves in recent franchise history, and I want to know if you are as hyped about it as I am. Do you think Asante Samuel Jr. is the missing piece that gets Dallas back to the Super Bowl, or are you still waiting to see how it plays out? Drop your thoughts below and let us get a conversation going, because this is the kind of news that demands discussion. And if you are not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Because we are going to be all over every development as this story continues to unfold, and you do not want to miss a single update. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like on this video, and I will catch you in the next one, because this Cowboys season just got a whole lot more interesting, and I cannot wait to see what happens next.